like, why would you come on this trip with no money? Okay, so today's video is probably going to be like a wild one and all over the place because this was like the birthday trip from hell. While I am telling y'all the story, I have a headband, Jerry curly wig from Julia Hair. I think this is 24 inches. I'm not sure. I'm going to put it in the screen when I figure it out. But, yo, this is so pretty. Look at this wave. I'm about to look like a mamacita. I'm going to drench my hair in some product before I put this headband wig on so that I can promote growth. So on this specific trip, I am going to Puerto Rico. It is my birthday trip. I'm actually not sure what birthday it is. I don't think I was I turning 21? I don't know. I feel like I wasn't turning 21 because I don't remember. I remember wanting to pick Puerto Rico because I wasn't old enough to do anything. And Puerto Rico at that time used to let you do like whatever as long as you were like 18. But I don't remember. I'm going to say that I was turning 20. But my age kind of really doesn't matter. Just know that this was a birthday trip. And at the time, I was going with two friends of mine. One named, I need names. Okay. One name was London. And the other one name is, we'll just call her Nicole. I don't know where that came from, but we're just going to call her Nicole. That's the best thing I could think of. I was going to say, let's call her Brokey, but I don't have time for that. So I invited London and Nicole to come on my birthday trip with me to Puerto Rico. Now, we were planning to drive to Florida, Jacksonville. I don't know if it was Jacksonville or Fort Lauderdale, but we were driving to Florida and catching the flight from Florida to Puerto Rico because the plane tickets was like less than half the price to go out of Florida. So we drove, I think, to like Orlando or something. Yeah, and we were like, okay, we're going to get our plane tickets to go to Puerto Rico from Orlando because it's so much cheaper. So for my birthday, I had already paid for the hotel in Puerto Rico. I had told my two friends, like, I've already got the hotel. Y'all just get y'all plane tickets and like bring like y'all spending money. But I was young, so there wasn't like really an itinerary. It was just like, just bring money because we're going to be in Old San Juan and we're probably going to be like just walking around everywhere. So it was just like that type of trip. Now, when I take a trip as I'm older, I have a whole itinerary. And if I'm going on a trip with somebody, I need an itinerary. Like, what the hell we going to be doing while we out there? Like, I ain't just going to be out the country. Well, Puerto Rico's not necessarily out the country, but you know what I mean? I'm not about to be out of my element and not know what the hell we doing. I'm not winging it. So, London, I have been friends with London for a while. I'm still friends with London to this day. We're very good friends. She's actually one of my closest friends. London, of course, she ain't got no issue. Me and her kind of grew up the same way. If she didn't have it, she could call her parents. I could call my parents. Like, I already knew what was up with London. I ain't have to worry about nothing. I didn't know that I had to worry about shit when it came to Nicole. I ain't know that. I did not know. I had met Nicole through London, so I didn't really know Nicole's situation. And now that I look back on it, I probably shouldn't have even invited her on my trip. But I think that I just wanted more than just one person to come with me. You know, like, I'm young. I'm just like, I want to do like a girls trip. So I was like, well, let me invite like one more person. And so I just decided to invite her. The first red flag with Nicole was when we got to Puerto Rico, you know, we all basically had cash. And we were like, we're going to split like all the taxis. because there was no Uber back then. Wasn't no goddamn Uber. It was taxi cabs. So we were like, okay, we're gonna split all the taxis. We'll just split it like down the middle. When we got there, she was like, when we first got in the cab and we got to the hotel, she was like, oh, I didn't pull any cash out. So I was slightly annoyed because I was like, well, we told you to pull cash out before we even went to Orlando. We stopped at the bank for us to get cash. Why didn't you get cash? But whatever, it wasn't that deep. The cab ride was probably like $20. So me and London just split it between me and her. So we get to the hotel, and I did not know about, at that point in time, incidentals. So I didn't know that they was gonna put a hold on my card. So I ended up having to call my parents for more money because I didn't ask them for enough. I was like, well, I would have had enough, but I didn't know about incidentals. I mean, shit. In my defense, my parents didn't tell me that shit either. They wasn't like, make sure that you ask us for enough for incidentals. But whatever, I ended up having to ask my parents for more money, and they were already annoyed with that. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, that wasn't my fault. I didn't know that they were going to take money off my card for incidentals. So we are trying to figure out like what to do in San Juan. We're asking like the people at the desk. They're telling us like all the clubs to go to, all of the bars to go to, and just like nice restaurants to like eat, and just like all the touristy stuff to do. We're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do all of this tonight. So the first place that we ended up going to was just a restaurant that was like directly across the street from the hotel. And me and London, we're ordering all kind of shit. We're just ordering hella shit because it's Puerto Rico. Like, it's one of the places like their food is so good. Like, you have to order everything. You have to taste everything. You can't go to Puerto Rico and say I want chicken nuggets. You have to go to Puerto Rico and like get like some real Puerto Rican food. And then I noticed that Nicole is really just like, yeah, can I just get one cheese empanada and a water? Which is fine. That's none of my business. If that's all you want, that's fine. But she was kicking it like she didn't feel good, and she just needed to kind of just coat her stomach since we were like going out to eat. I mean, not going out to eat, since we were going out to drink. She was like, I just want to coat my stomach before we go out to drink. So I'm like, not thinking nothing of it. Still, just like, oh, okay, cool. That's all you want. Meanwhile, me in London fucking our food up. And let me go ahead and just throw this out here. If that girl had told me she didn't have no money, one, I would have been agitated that you came on a trip with no money, because I just felt like you can miss this one, just catch the next one. But I would never sit there and watch you eat basically nothing and drink a water because you don't have no money. Like, I would have done something about that. But she was kicking it to us like, it's not that she ain't got no money, it's the fact that she just don't feel good, and that she ain't really that hungry anyway. She just wants something to like put on her stomach before we start drinking. So we're like, okay, cool. So me and London, we go ahead, we pay our tab. She pays her tab. I think her tab had to be like $5. I don't know how much her tab was, but it wasn't really much of nothing. But she told us that she left her wallet at the hotel. She was like, damn, I left my wallet at the hotel. Again, I didn't think nothing of this, and neither did London. We were just like, okay. And she hadn't really ordered nothing like that anyway. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. Don't worry, girl, we got you. We just gonna, because the place that we ate was directly across from the hotel. So we was like, okay, girl, don't worry, we got you. And when we leave from here, we'll just walk right back across to the hotel so that you can get your wallet or your money or whatever before we go out to drink. Because you're gonna need your money to drink, girl. You're gonna need your money to drink. So she like, yeah, okay, cool. We pay, we go back to the hotel. She go inside, she come out with a purse. Like, she went in there and got some money. And then we take a taxi over to the bar that we want to drink at. So on this taxi ride, London and the taxi driver, I don't remember. Oh, I do remember his name. I'm going to use his real name because I ain't never going to see this man again in my life. But his name is Luis. London and Luis have like this. Well, Luis got a connection. I don't think my friend had a connection. I think she just was like, "Oh, it's a taxi cab driver that liked me, and we can use him for like a free cab ride." She ended up exchanging numbers with him, and he did for a lot of the trip become like a designated taxi driver until like something happened. And we're gonna get to that in a second. But anyway, we get to the bar and I'm ordering drinks. Let me say something. I'm 20. The only thing I'm ordering is mojitos and amaretto sours. Or is it sour amaretto? I don't know. I ain't had that shit since I was like 20 years old, but that's all I was ordering. I was ordering the same drinks over and over. Nicole is not ordering shit, and instead she keep like saying shit like, like trying to find a guy to buy us drinks, which always for a girl is ideal to be able to go into a bar and just have a guy buy you and all your girls drinks. But that's never an excuse to go somewhere broke. Like you don't go somewhere with no money with an expectation that somebody's gonna pay for you. Like what? I'm about to define my curls. So got some curling mousse. So at that point, I kind of started thinking like, okay, like I don't think this bitch got no money. And I had said something to London about it. And London is not gonna hold her tongue. She was like, girl, you ain't got no money? And she was like, yeah, I got money. Like was like kind of like low-key offended that like somebody like suggested that she didn't have no money. So then she started ordering like a couple drinks. Nothing crazy, but she did order a couple drinks after that. I think because she knew that we were catching on to the fact that she did not have no money. So for some reason, I don't know what it was because I do not like no damn mojitos. But that night I was in love with mojitos. I was a mojito ass bitch. I wanted to marry a mojito. So I'm drinking mojitos, and y'all know mojitos got like all the leaves and stuff in it, or basil, or whatever the hell it is. Mojitos got hella shit in it, and I was loving it. I was like, give me every mojito that you got in the motherfucking building. I want all the mojitos. Don't give nobody else in this bitch a mojito except for me. I am your mojito girl. So finally, it's time to leave the bar and go back to the hotel because I am drunk. I'm sure everybody else is drunk, but I'm too drunk to even know if somebody else is drunk. So we go back to the hotel. I didn't explain to y'all how the hotel is. It is not like it wasn't like a Hilton or like a Marriott or like a chain hotel. It was a very old San Juan boutique hotel, like a hotel that had been there for years, and they still had like their old construction. So the hotel did not have an elevator, and we were on the top floor. So we had to walk all the way up the steps. I think it was like 5 flights of steps. It wasn't like a 20-story building, but it was like 4 or 5 flights of steps that we had to walk up. So we're drunk. Everybody goes to sleep except for me. And I did not go to sleep because I literally was fighting for my life. I was having an asthma attack, and I did not bring my inhaler to Puerto Rico. So I'm drunk, and on top of being drunk, I just had to walk up 5 flights of steps, and my lungs were not made for that shit. I can't do that. I cannot walk up 5 flights of steps, and I definitely cannot do it when I'm drunk. After maybe like 30 minutes of me actually genuinely struggling to breathe, I finally was like, yo, I can't breathe and I can't do this. I have to go to the hospital. But I did not wake my friends up. I literally just grabbed my purse. I walked out the room. I went downstairs to the lobby, and I told the guy from the front desk, like, hey, I cannot breathe. I was saying it like, I can't breathe. And I was trying to tell him that I had asthma. But he barely spoke any English, but he did understand that I needed an ambulance. He called 911 or whatever the number is in Puerto Rico. He called them. They take 20 minutes to come. There was like no sense of urgency for the fact that he probably was telling them like, yo, shorty cannot breathe type shit. But they finally came and got me. He gave me a bottle of water. Please remember this by the end of the story. This man gave me a bottle. He gave me a bottle of water because he saw that I couldn't breathe. And then the ambulance finally came and they took me to the hospital. And they had me in the waiting room forever, like a bitch can breathe. I can't fucking breathe. Why am I still in this waiting room? Why am I still in this waiting room? And I clearly cannot breathe. I finally like yell at a nurse, and I am usually not rude, but I'm literally dying. Like I don't know if people understand that you can actually die from having an asthma attack, but I literally was dying. Like I was fighting for my life. I know, like my face was turning pale. I could not breathe. Somebody finally helped me. They took me to the back because I started crying. I was like, I can't breathe. And they finally took me to the back. Nobody speaks English, so nobody understands that what I'm having is an asthma attack. There's no, like nobody speaking English. So finally, somebody comes in the room that speaks English, and I tell them in the best way that I can, because at this point my breathing is so labored, it makes no sense. I'm like, so they give me an IV and a breathing treatment. I ended up leaning over. I had to take the breathing treatment off. I leaned over and I threw up on the floor. Probably from the mojitos. Everything on the floor was literally mojito leaves. Like, it was disgusting. And the nurse came in. She was pissed. She was pissed. She was like, now the bitch spoke English. Next time you throw up in the trash can. First of all, there was no trash can in there. She like went back out and brought a trash can. Was like, next time you throw up in the trash can. You couldn't speak English 5 minutes ago. Why you know English now that I threw up on the floor? I put the breathing treatment back on. I ended up falling asleep in the hospital. And then when I woke up, I don't know if this is normal. If anybody's in the medical field, please let me know. But the IV drip that they gave me had not been changed. So after the bag emptied, the IV was pulling blood from my arm. So the blood from my arm is coming out of the IV and going back up into the bag because the drip was gone. There was no more liquids to put into my body. The bag was empty. So now blood was coming out of my arm. So I started pressing the button for like a nurse to come into my room so that somebody could either take the IV out of me or change the liquids, and nobody ever came. So I finally just got up out the bed. Mind you, I have a hospital gown on that's open in the back. And I'm walking around with my IV drip. Well, there's no drip in it, but I'm walking around with the IV bag and like rolling a thing. I'm walking around asking somebody, do they speak English? Nobody speaks English. So then I finally see a man, and he looks American. It was a white man, but he didn't look Spanish at all. He just looked white. And I walked up to him and I was like, do you speak English? He was like, no, I absolutely don't. But I guess that was him like trying to be sarcastic. I wasn't in the mood for sarcasm. Like, I just almost died. Like, so I just said, oh, thank God. I was like, I'm bleeding. And he was like, oh no. So he had somebody come and like change my IV or whatever. Like, it's the next day at this point. I don't know what's going on with my friends because I don't have a cell phone on me. I have been in the hospital all night. Like, I spent the night in the hospital. It's the next day. It's literally daylight outside the next day. So I'm like, can I leave? They give me my clothes. They're like, oh, okay, you can leave. Just go down to like accounting. And at this time in my life, I wasn't worried about that. I was on my parents' health insurance. Y'all know when you on your parents' health insurance, that's the best health insurance you could ever have. And I'm having my mom. I'm like, oh, my mom will fax over the health insurance. They were like, no, your mom is effective of the health insurance now. Even though they had all my information, my ID, my address, everything. They were like, no, you cannot leave until we either get your health insurance or payment. I actually don't think that that's legal. I don't know if Puerto Rico has different laws, but I don't think that you can hold me in the hospital because you're waiting for payment or my health insurance. Because even like, what if I didn't have the money to pay for whatever service you gave me? You was going to hold me hostage in the hospital? After another hour of that, because for some reason their fax machine wasn't working, my mom finally got my insurance card over to them. They got my insurance and then they let me go. I take a cab back to the hotel. My two friends, when I finally get back up to the room, they're like, what the fuck? Like, they were freaking out because they had went downstairs to the lobby after like they woke up. I wasn't there. And they was like, okay, where's Ayana? And they didn't really think nothing of it at first, but then they were like, okay, where's Ayana? Like after a couple hours, go downstairs. The guy at the front desk, he's the same guy from last night. He's like, oh yeah, she went to the hospital. They like the fucking hospital. Nobody knew where I was, and when they heard that I was in the hospital, they start panicking. So they didn't know what to do. So when I came back, they're like, bitch, well, why didn't you wake us up? I'm like, bitch, I couldn't breathe. The last thing I was thinking about was waking y'all up. I was thinking about breathing. I was trying not to die. But anyway, I wasn't about to let some little asthma attack that tried to kill me ruin my motherfucking trip. So I was like, okay, we back at it. We at the bars and shit. So London was like, oh, we need to find a Western Union for Nicole because she waiting for her daddy to send her some money. I'm like, okay, good, because this bitch ain't had no money like this whole time, whatever. But I said it out loud. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Your daddy sent you some money. Girl, let's find Western Union. I don't think they had a Western Union, but her dad ended up telling her. She told us that her dad ended up saying that he was going to wire her some money. So we found a bank that she told us that he had wired the money to. She goes in that bank. She comes out. I'm letting y'all know now. I'm not going to wait till the end of the story to tell y'all that she did not go in there and get no money. She was never going in there to get any money. She had us walking around San Juan for no reason, acting like she had somebody sending her money when she, in fact, did not have any money and had no intention of ever getting any money from anybody. Like, I don't know how she thought this trip was going to work, if she just, like, knew that we were going to pay for her. Sorry, I'm trying to see how this look half up, half down. If she just knew that we were going to pay for her. But the fact that she just was like, oh, I'm going to run y'all around San Juan, Puerto Rico on your birthday for no reason is kind of like really trifling. And to be honest, like now that I'm really hearing the story back, like I should have fought her, but I didn't. But anyway, so there's this restaurant that someone told us about that we said that we really wanted to go to. We don't know at this point that Nicole don't have no money. Just to let you know. I'm telling y'all now that Nicole didn't have any money. But at this point, we don't know Nicole don't have no money. For all we know, she went in that bank and got some money and came back out with some money. But anyway, there's this restaurant that they told us about at the hotel that we really wanted to try. So we were like, oh, okay, let's go try whatever restaurant it was. London hit up the taxi cab driver, Luis, to come get us. But he said that he had a ride. He had a client that was already booked around that time, but that he could come pick us up. That visibly agitated Nicole. It wasn't that serious to us. We were like, okay, we'll just have to pay for a one-way. But that visibly agitated her. So we get into the taxi. We go to the restaurant. It comes time to pay. She tells us that she don't have the money to pay. And we were like, well, you just got money. And she was like, yeah, but I just left it in my account on my card. I didn't pull no cash out. So we were like, girl, okay. We eat. Once again, she barely orders anything. She pays for her food this time, though, with her card. She does pay for her food, but she barely ordered anything. And then when Luis came to pick us up, she was excited about that. She was like, oh, like, kind of like breathing like a sigh of relief. Like, okay, thank God. Like, we got this nigga to come pick us up. So we didn't really have nothing to do after we ate. So we just went to go kick it with like Luis and his homeboys. Tell me why we over there kicking it with Luis and his homeboys. And after like an hour, this girl walk up, because he, of course, was all over my friend because he liked her. This girl walk up, and that's his baby mama. And she got that kid with him. He ain't told us nothing about the baby mama and the kid. And she's like, you know, like, who is this? Who is this? What's going on? Type shit. It's in Spanish, but I'm a girl. I know what she was saying. She said, who the fuck is this bitch? And Luis is like trying to calm her down or whatever. Usually me and London probably be ready to fight over some shit like that. But I mean, like, wrong is wrong. Like, you ain't tell us you had no baby mama. You ain't tell us you had kids. You ain't tell us you was in a relationship. Like, you literally have been driving us around San Juan and did not let us know at no point that you had a bitch. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think we would have cared because ain't nobody like him. Like, we just wanted the free rides. But at the same time, like, we wouldn't have been, like, caught by surprise by the girl. So he had his, like, little fight with her. The girl ended up, like, walking off or whatever. And this is our last night in San Juan. We go out. We have a great time. Mostly everything was getting paid for, so Nicole didn't really have nothing to worry about. But then the next day, which is the day that we were leaving, came. And mind you, we had to go to San Juan, fly into Orlando, and then drive back to Atlanta. And we knew that once we got to the Orlando airport, we were just straight up renting a car and driving straight back to Atlanta. There was no, oh, we need to go to the ATM. So the day that we left, before we even went to the airport, oh, I didn't even know my necklace came off. Before we even went to the airport in San Juan, we were like, okay, let's stop and pull out cash now for the rental car and for gas. So before we even went to the airport, we were all talking about how much we needed to put in for the rental car to get back to Atlanta from Orlando, and then how much money we needed for gas. That is the point that Nicole kind of came clean about the fact that she didn't have any money. And me and London, we were pissed because I had spent so much money in San Juan on like food and drinks and just like trinkets and shopping and stuff. And so had London. And now we got to pay for you too to get, like, we were supposed to split everything 3 ways. Now we're splitting it 2 ways. Like, it probably wouldn't be a big deal today, but back when I was that young, it was a big deal because my parents had a strict budget of the money that they were giving me. And they had already told me that they were not giving me any more money. So I had to go to the ATM to get cash, basically for Nicole, pulled the cash out. Y'all, I fucking left my card in the ATM. Y'all know back then the ATM didn't shoot your card out. They wasn't like take your card before they give you your cash. If you left your card in the ATM, you know the ATM shredded your card. I'm going to the ATM just to get cash for Nicole. Left my card in the ATM. The only cash that I have is the cash that I just gave to Nicole. So now I got to call my parents and have my parents send me some money via MoneyGram or Western Union or something. My parents are pissed. My parents are pissed because they're like, yo, we gave you so much money for this trip. And I'm like, I know, but it wasn't my fault. It was a mess. So of course my parents ended up sending me the money. They're not about to let me just be stranded in Puerto Rico. So they ended up sending me the money, even though they were completely pissed. And the ride back home from Orlando to Atlanta was so silent because every time we had to stop for gas, at this time, I think I was driving we were driving a Jeep. So we had to stop for gas quite a lot. Every time we stopped for gas, like, me and London would look at each other like, this fucking bitch, because she wasn't putting it on shit. And it was just making me so mad because I'm not mad that you don't have no money. Like, I know that you can't control if you just don't have the money to do something, but why the fuck would you come on a trip that you don't have no money? Like, and you had to get permission from your parents, because I know my parents spoke with her parents. Like, why would you come on this trip with no money? Why would your mama send you on a trip with no money? Like, girl, catch the next trip when you got the money. Like, that shit was so lame to me because I'm the birthday girl and I have been coming out of my wallet this whole time to pay for 2 people. And now my parents are looking at me sideways because I don't think I actually told my parents at the time, like, this bitch ain't got no money. I just was like, I need more money. So my parents are looking at me like, you little irresponsible cunt. And that wasn't what it was at all. I'm paying for 2 fucking people. I'm paying for me and homegirl. So, I completely forgot that I was telling y'all to remember that man gave me that water when I was having that asthma attack. I got that hospital bill. I mean, I got the final bill from the hotel when I got home. He charged me for that bottle of water. He charged me $6 for that bottle of Fiji. It wasn't a, here, girl, you dying, let me give you this water. He charged you for that fucking Fiji. I just wanted to give y'all that sidebar. But yeah, like, I don't talk to Nicole to this day because that shit was lame. And apparently she still be doing shit like that. I heard another story from somebody else that she did that on another trip. Had people running around acting like she was getting money out of Western Union, and she was not getting no money from Western Union, and she had people paying for her for this trip. Let me tell you something. She would have been SOL. Like, to Ayana today, you would have been SOL. I'm not paying for shit because you trying it. You're trying it. But yeah, y'all, that was my birthday trip from hell. I have probably a lot of stories of trips that have gone bad, but that one kind of stuck out the most because I really can't believe that somebody left the whole state to go on a vacation with people and you knew that you was broke. and you didn't care that you was broke, and you didn't care that you had people paying for you. I just think that that shit was lame. So I wanted to tell y'all that story. Thank you to Julia Hair for sending me this headband wig. I think this headband wig is so pretty, and I think it blends perfect with my hair, my baby hairs. Like, I feel like it could be my hair. Maybe I'm lying, but I feel like it could be my hair. But all the links to this hair is in the description box. Thank you guys for tuning into this story time, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! Yeah.